field of neuroscience it's vast and it's diverse. It goes all the way from looking at the electrical and chemical ways that individual neurons communicate with each other, through this idea that clusters of millions of neurons produce our behaviors, our thoughts, our feelings. And so we have scientists in the field that come from every sort of genre. They come from biology, from human biology, from artificial intelligence, from computer science, and from psychology. And we emerge at this interdisciplinary field where what we're trying to do is explore how each aspect of the biological processes going on in our brain and our body produce everything about what we see in everyday life. So the field really has emerged over the last 30 years. And we started off with a lot of studies that looked at what we call lesions, which are taking individuals who, because of accident, because of surgery, sometimes because of disease, have lost clusters of millions of neurons in their brain. And we took these individuals and we do a bunch of tests with them to see what happens when we lose parts of our brain. Can you still feel the same way? Can you still think the same way? Can you control your behaviors? And what's happened is that as we took this knowledge that we had from the early lesion studies, and we even did those in animals as well, where we would go in and try to selectively lesion parts of animal brains and see what kinds of behaviors animals could show. And we tried to move forward. We've taken all of the advances that have happened in computer technologies, and we started to look at ways where we don't have to explicitly go into the brain. We can look at what's happening in the brain through things like electroencephalography, which you'll see later in the museum if you go forward, through things like magnetic resonance imaging or diffusion tensor imaging, all of these technologies that allow us to see networks of activation, areas of activation, or even when things are being processed in the brain. So we answer big questions. You might answer a question like, how can I stop myself from eating that donut I love so much when I'm going to diet? What network of activation in the brain is going on when I'm doing that? You might even ask yourself, why is it that I feel so sad? Can I look at the brain and predict what kind of areas are underlying our ability to feel sad, our ability to feel happy, our responses to other people feeling sad or happy? Maybe it's even our ability to go forward and feel sorry for the plight of another individual, things like empathy or morality. And that's another field of exploration in this growing field of neuroscience. So neuroscience is expanding rapidly, and the future lies in taking all of these basic, big picture questions that are in developmental and cognitive and social and clinical psychology and bringing them together and trying to say, how can we then use this knowledge to move forward? How can we start to use neuromodulation? How can we take electrical signals that we know are stimulating movement and take that to then have robotic arms that are the replacements for individuals who have lost a limb and move the limb using just electrical signals from the brain? How can we take and regrow axons in the spinal cord for individuals who have suffered paralysis? The big field of neuroscience is moving into translation, is moving into helping others through the knowledge that we are gaining about